Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Consuming Kindness podcast. I'm your host, Skylar Larson, and before we jump into the topic today, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the background of what consuming kindness is to me. I'm just recovering from a cold, so if my voice sounds a little bit cracky during this, I apologize for that. It won't be the norm. I'm a journalism student at Indiana University. My focus is public relations, and understanding how our different lives form our different perspectives has always been something that's very interesting to me. And with that, how social media factors into the spread of information and the changing of our culture. It's no secret that humanity is hurting. At the same time that we're the most connected we've ever been, we're also the most isolated. Now, I'm not a scientist, so I can't tell you the exact reason for that, but I can talk about what I've observed. A lot of this isolation is because of the media we consume and how we process information. Whoa, that's a bit of a statement to say. It opens a whole nother can of worms. Obviously, I can't sit here and tell you not to use social media. That would be a bit hypocritical considering I'm talking to you right now through a podcast that is on social media. Social media has always been a very big part of my life. I was born in 2003. They say that the kids born in that time period are the last kids to be able to experience a normal childhood without social media. But with that being said, electronics and technology was still present in my childhood. It has always been there. And I grew up loving to watch YouTubers. I grew up making videos in my bedroom that I would never post on social media. And now I post on TikTok almost every single day. So again, it would be incredibly hypocritical for me to sit here and lecture you on your use of social media when my screen time is probably like 10 hours, which is ridiculous. But that is why I can say that there's no denying that social media has created a lot of problems. Increased insecurity, depression, bullying, confirmation biases, cancel culture. Let's take a moment just to talk about advertisements. Like I said, I'm a public relations student, but I also study marketing. There's studies that say that we see upwards of 4,000 different advertisements a day. Whether that's advertisements that we see online or just see walking down the street, that's not even factoring in all the alternative types of messaging that we see that aren't considered advertisements. We consume so much information every single day, and our brains were never meant to have to process this much. So it's no wonder that we approach things with less and less understanding. After all, we see so much information every single day. To try to take time and process all of that would take so much of our energy. But a lack of willingness to understand opens up to a lot of other problems that we're seeing play out right now. We are seemingly more divided than ever. But what if we truly aren't as divided as we think we are? What if what we're experiencing is more of a loss of connection? Community is so important. But to me, community isn't just the people that are in your immediate circle. It's a much wider group that encompasses people at your school, people in your town, or just random strangers that you pass in your everyday life. Now, Skylar, how can I feel connected with people that I don't know at a personal level? That is the topic that we're going to get into today. We need to start talking to strangers. This episode is built off of a topic that I did a little Let's Talk video on TikTok about. So I'm going to take a moment and read a quote that was from the script of that TikTok. We've come to a point where it's more common to be scrolling on your phone while walking than being actually present. We spend time interacting with people on the internet rather than saying hello to the people we pass in real life. Standing in line at the grocery store, avoiding eye contact and small talk by keeping our head down in our phones. It's a mechanism of avoidance. It's predictable. It's comfortable. Now, I say this because I know it's true. This is how I act a lot when I'm in public. When I'm walking to class, I'll often be looking at my phone. When I'm in the grocery store, sometimes I wear headphones because I don't really want to open myself up to a conversation. Or when I'm standing in line to check out, I'll be scrolling on my phone. Or even in situations where I see people that I recognize, but I'm kind of nervous to talk to them, I will get out my phone and either act like I'm actively doing something or even call someone just to avoid talking. Admitting that sounds kind of crazy, but for me, those random interactions can be very nerve-wracking just because I don't know what's going to come up. I'm scared to talk. I'm scared to talk about things that I don't have prepared in my head. And I don't know if that's just a me thing because I've spent so much time talking to a camera off of a rehearsed script, or I just prefer writing things because I can kind of jumble my thoughts together a little bit better. But it's a problem. Interacting with people at the smallest level of saying hello, or looking someone in the eye as they open a door and saying thank you, or just giving a compliment in passing are some of the basic things that make us connected as humans. In a study by Pew Research, only 66% of Americans say that they feel close to others in our country, and 54% of Americans say that they feel close to the people in their immediate community. And this was far below the median number of 83% of people in the 24 other countries that were surveyed. This survey was actually pretty interesting, so if I remember to, I'll leave it linked in the description. But it broke down the feeling of closeness by different demographics and psychographics. Actually, most interesting is the group out of any breakdown that they did that felt the least close to the people in their country or community was the age group of 18 to 29. And let me get that survey back up for a second. Yeah, ages 18 to 29, only 46% of them feel close to other Americans. And that gets even lower for ages 18 to 29 who feel close to the people in their local community. That number drops to 42%. And I would say that that data makes perfect sense to what we see in our country and what we see in our communities. Now, it's pretty easy to point out the problems that can arise because of a lack of feeling close to others, but it's a lot harder to figure out how that lack of closeness came to be. And that's because there's probably a lot of things that factor into this. Like, for starters, we're a lot more aware of dangers that happen in society, and there's also a mistrust of other people right now. But I would also say that social media and the media that we're consuming does play into this as well. Like, there are a lot of studies that say that we're less social than we used to be. I read this in a separate article that referenced the American Time Use Survey. This showed that American adults are spending 30% less time doing face-to-face socializing than they were 20 years ago. And for teenagers, that number goes up to 45% less time. And that's not really saying that they're less social, they're just doing less face-to-face socialization. And that does kind of make sense. 20 years ago, I'm 21 right now, but I can kind of reflect on this decline throughout my entire life. When I look back at my childhood, the way that we would hang out with each other was I'd go over to my friend's house, ring their doorbell, and be like, yo, do you want to go ride bikes? And now I cannot imagine myself going and knocking on my friend's door unannounced and asking them to do something. Like, that's just not what I would do. And I don't know if that's me just being older now, but even when I'm like calling someone, I'll text them first because I don't want to, I don't want to intrude. So I feel like we've seen this trend of different ways of hanging out or different ways of socializing or just not really socializing that much at all. But I think COVID was definitely the nail in this coffin. Obviously, we all lived through lockdown. I was 16 when that started, and obviously there was a lot of other things that were going on at that time, but it all kind of just factored into just being kind of scared to go around other people. You were worried about yourself getting sick. You were worried about your family members getting sick. You didn't know what other people were doing with their time, so you didn't really want to go around them because you were worried, like, oh, if they're exposing themselves to a lot of people, like, I don't want to be around them because then that exposes me to more people. It resulted in a lot of people being isolated. There's also been like studies afterward that show how that has affected children and adults. And I think what a lot of people now call the loneliness epidemic, and just how that's impacted our ability to socialize with other people. And again, I'm not saying that this started with COVID because it definitely didn't. But I do think it's interesting just to see how that trend kind of built up and how that was almost a breaking point. But something else that I think is important to talk about is choosing to be lonely. And I don't want to say lonely because that's not the right word. I'm someone who likes to spend a lot of time alone. I'm an only child, so shocker, I enjoy the company of myself. Like, I find a lot of peace in being in my apartment, watching TV by myself, or doing creative things by myself, or even like going on walks by myself. And I've just always found a lot of comfort in that. But then there's other times where go the entire weekend, and on Sunday I kind of look at it like, oh my gosh, I literally have not left my room. And that's maybe not the best thing in the world. So I definitely think that this is kind of a layered issue and can't just be attributed to one thing like social media. It's a changing in the way that we view things and a changing in the way that we act and interact with each other. Why is it important to feel connected? Well, for starters, humans are by nature social. It has been said that you can see a higher quality of life if you feel more socially connected. And this can have benefits beyond just mental health. It can have benefits to physical health too. But at the very core of this, humanity is stronger when we are connected, and shared humanity shouldn't just be exclusive to the people that we know on a personal level. The less connected that we feel to others makes it easier to dehumanize people that are different than us. And the less importance we place on social connectivity, the easier it is to approach conversations with a lack of understanding. That is why we need to start talking to strangers again, because we need to build back our sense of community and shared humanity. To answer my previous question, that is how we start to feel more connected to people that we don't know on a personal level. So here's my challenge to anyone listening. Do something nice for a stranger every day this week. About a week ago, I reflected in how I was interacting with people, and I thought that I just wanted to start being more open to interactions. And immediately when I made that realization, I started noticing little ways that I could try to make someone's day better. Whether that was just smiling at people or noticing if somebody was struggling with something. The more that you allow yourself to be open to interactions, the more you're going to notice things like that. And the more you have those interactions, the more you'll want to keep doing them, because you'll realize that doing those small, nice things for other people is going to make you feel better too. That connectedness really does fuel our souls as well. So don't hold back compliments, smile at people, help people with things. Don't be afraid of being awkward, and make kindness a habit. I know that this is a bit of a short episode. I do want them to be a little bit longer than this, but I want to thank you for tuning into the first episode of the Consuming Kindness podcast. Please subscribe to stay tuned. I'm going to be posting these on YouTube and Spotify every other week. Hopefully pretty soon I'll be bumping that up to weekly, but we'll just see how things go. In the meantime, make sure to follow at Consuming Kindness on Instagram. And if you go to IU Bloomington, definitely stay tuned because I might have something fun coming up this week. And if you want to follow me on my socials, you can follow me on TikTok or Instagram at Skylar and Larson. Also, thank you for dealing with my mini mic. Sorry if you see the cord like wagging back and forth this whole episode. I'm working on getting a little bit better of equipment, but this is what we have for right now. And the cord is not long enough for me to actually like clip it on like you're supposed to. So that's why I'm holding it. But anyways, carry yourself with love this week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.